Sidutru number 11. How can you tell a fraud that's pretending to be something and just throwing a title around and mixing in false concepts of spirituality in psychobabble and trying to get you to keep paying them money for their hocus pocus hoaxes, you know. It's the wording. Like, oh, let's think of one that I'm just going to kind of pull a random one out of my ass here. Julian from Kentucky or Delaware. Let's go with Delaware. Julian from Kentucky once asked me, "Is witchcraft real? Can you help me?" Oh yes, it's real, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of talking and a lot of counseling and a lot of tweaking things in your life, and also tweaking the energy. And it's herbs and oils and crystals and roots and everything else, and it goes that it's going to take a lot of time and nothing happens overnight and da-da-da-da, and no 30 minutes television sitcom, because you have to keep coming back for me to help you, and because the work begins with you. And then they turn around and say, that's what witchcraft is. And no, it's not. That's counseling. The moment they slap in things like tweaking energy, fixing your aura, things like that, that's New Age psychobabble. We got to learn to align your chakras. Yeah, well, if you're a warlock or a witch, you're not going to refer to such things that is specifically a Hindu spiritual practice, and in itself a bad knockoff of what that particular practice was actually about, which was more of the meditative aspect of things and using visualization, mind over body kind of thing, rather than mind over matter, because most of these people don't mind, and their so-called clients really don't have it. What's another one? Oh, they'll throw in another one, like, it's very similar, witchcraft is very similar to the law of attraction. That's basically now taking in a legitimate scientific concept and turning it into a pseudo-scientific mysticism. That's another thing to watch out for. It's hook, line, and sinker. And then they'll use buzz terms like, what you feel is what you're projecting. Durr. Translation, your emotions show on your face, and it's in your eyes. It's your body language. And then they say things like, while you're paying and everything, how long does it take really depends on you, which in reality, the translation to that one is, how much money do you got and how much can you pay me before it runs out? And then if you can't afford me after a certain point, well, then I can't really do much for you until you figure out how to come up with the funds, because I've got to help other people, and I've got to eat too, and all this other fucking crap. And it's a scam. What's another buzz? It can take 30 days. It could take 6 months. How about more like about an hour or two per counseling session? with a licensed counselor who's not making you run your fingers through a bunch of rocks saying, meditate, let it absorb your negative energy. Oh, there you go. Let it flow, let it flow. Let it fucking snow on this fucking warm, fuzzy bullshit fest. And then the other thing is, it also depends on how willing you are, which basically means how gullible are you to keep buying into my bullshit. Then they will pull in things like, are you still mourning over the same dude or lady that you haven't been with for the last 6 months, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's all a bunch of psychobabble masquerading as counseling and spirituality, using basically trigger words, which is basically words that you've heard so many times a certain way that you start basically thinking that's what it's about. So those who are absolute master manipulators will use whatever it is what you think you understand, and it's basically a lot of double talk, pseudo-counseling, mixed in with more or less a lot of just paraphernalia and costumes and stroking egos. And, just turn around saying things like, it's all about a healing process, and, what we do is we help you with these herbs to help you relax so that, you can clear your energy so that you can finally let go and move on with your life and things like that. And, I can understand how some might say, well, some people need that. Maybe that's what people have come to expect that they need, but what they need is somebody who's going to be honest and not fucking fleece them. What they need is somebody who is actually there and gives a shit about them as a human being, not how much cash is in their bank account. And they need to get a regular job. Make music or something and get paid that way. Things like that. But just whatever. One of the other things that you'll always notice when it's a fraud person is they will come up with these first names, and you'll notice that they constantly keep looking at a quick glance, and they have to like they're literally reading a name, and yet this is supposedly somebody that they're familiar with and actually helped. And then they say, oh, well, I have to keep track of all the names. No, because if you're legitimate, you're not going to do a bunch of name dropping to try and convince people that you've helped so many of these different people for a bunch of random names that you pretty much pull out of a hat and say everything like, Dayquil from Kentucky contacted me. Naked Boots from Anal Rectum Malice contacted me about Scully Bone Zipper from the planet Nipple Wax contacted me and asked, and the fact is, they don't fucking know these people that are claiming that they've helped, and it's just pointless name dropping, which is the same thing as putting yourself under a bunch of bird droppings. Now, the other thing that's funny is when somebody says, well, they asked me if I can see the future or predict the future, and they kind of pull a little bit of a verbal sleight of hand. An example of that is where they say, no, I can't see the future, I don't like to look into the future because, and so basically what they just said is no, they can't, but yet they can if they want to. Oh boy, does it get deep with bullshit with that variety. So yeah, I'm just, I'm sorry, I kind of, I didn't have a brain fart, and I just, it's just so much of these kind of buzzwords that are nonsense. The other thing they will also do is they will play into your own personal bigotry or biases, and try to turn it into a positive thing when it's nothing positive or good about being biased and a bigot. And most people throw those words around and really don't know what a bigot is, and think it's just somebody who doesn't agree with what they believe in or claim to believe in. And that's not the case when you're literally telling people the truth. If they take it as that kind of thing, then why do you even bother talking to them? You know? And if you don't want to listen to somebody like myself who's actually telling you like it is, then why are you asking any questions? You're basically trying to, again, justify your own brand of bigotry while claiming that you're against bigotry while being a bigot. Sorry about that. There is so much of it out there that it is mind-numbing. I would actually recommend that before you go seeking somebody who calls themselves a witch or a psychic or whatever, that you seek an actual counselor with a legitimate license who has actually gone through some kind of legitimate psychology studies, who actually has legitimate credentials. Within the literal public health services, like legitimate hospital type things, before you go to some mystic, whatever, that will use whatever title they think will make them more popular and more interesting, casting this mystique of the witch and warlock. And I'm sorry if I'm bursting a lot of bubbles here with demystifying what warlocks and witches actually are. But the truth is the truth, and it needs to be the only thing that you follow. And you can't help people lying to them. You just can't. The only thing that you're helping out is the dollar signs growing in somebody else's bank.